Last summer, with a group of friends, I launched Crescendo, a platform connecting buyers and sellers to rent and sell used musical instruments. Within a week of its launch, Crescendo generated revenue. Ultimately, and more importantly, it became a catalyst for eliminating the financial barriers that prevent people from pursuing their musical journey. The idea of Crescendo germinated from my own musical interests. You see, I've spent the last several years learning to play the guitar, and during that time, I've become acutely aware of the many challenges faced by people pursuing music, especially the high cost of procuring musical instruments. Following a passionate discussion with my friends about the best ways to connect people with instruments in a manner that eases the traditional financial burden, Crescendo took off. As part of today's conversation, I would like to share my personal entrepreneurial experiences of bringing Crescendo to life. The app story presents the perfect blueprint for new age entrepreneurship. Crescendo's 3 tenets, connectivity, sustainability, and innovation, emerge as a relevant framework for budding entrepreneurs, as well as for any global citizen whose dreams envision a brighter, more tenable future. I will unpack these 3 tenets using my entrepreneurial experiences, as well as relevant industry examples. To start, any meaningful entrepreneurial venture needs to be anchored in a core business problem you want to solve. This connection will help develop strong empathy and passion, and this connection will also sustain you during the bumpy road ahead. In my case, it was a love for music and the belief that everyone should be able to experience it despite the high cost of procuring musical instruments. This deeper understanding of the underlying problem helped me immensely during our ideation process. When I approached the business model for Crescendo, I was not merely looking at the financial numbers, such as profit and loss, but instead how this will help combat the core problems surrounding the inaccessibility to musical instruments. Our team agreed to aspire to operate Crescendo with very limited upfront costs, which would mean that we could price the instruments cost effectively and benefit our target customer base. This was easier said than done. We ended up redrawing our business plan multiple times and spent a considerable duration of time fine-tuning strategies to reduce our costs to the absolute minimum. For example, we went with the marketplace model of selling instruments, which meant that we had no inventory. As a result, we had no inventory costs and could directly pass on the savings to our customers. Okay, so just a quick poll, a hand raise. How many of us have heard of Etsy? Yeah, so I think a sizable number. So a successful business built on the foundation of human connections is Etsy. As many of you might know, Etsy is a global peer-to-peer marketplace platform for craft, vintage, and artisan goods with over $1 billion in revenue. Rob Kalin, the founder of Etsy, is a DIY evangelist and likes to be referred to as an artist rather than a businessman. Given Rob's strong background in the arts and crafts, he was able to position Etsy as a platform that brings a fresh approach to social commerce. Rob treated real conversations as his most important KPI, or key performance indicator, encouraging buyers and sellers to communicate, whether it be about the materials, the crafting process, or just bringing out the story behind the goods. While having a personal connection is helpful in driving a fresh approach to business, or any goal for that matter, another key dimension to keep in mind is the focus on sustainability. For the longest time, these two concepts of entrepreneurship and sustainability have been at odds with each other, with the pursuit of one often coming at the expense of the other. Our society has idolized successful entrepreneurs even if they make profit at the cost of economic or social sustainability. However, both of these concepts are just two sides of the same equation, which can coexist and work very well together, as proven by several well-established businesses. But before we get to those examples, let's first understand what sustainability is and why it is relevant. According to the International Institute of Sustainability, or the IIS, sustainability is when individuals and societies provide for their own needs without ruining the prospects of their children and grandchildren. Unsustainable environments can lead to an economic or environmental crash, and these crashes can occur in our lifetimes or the lifetimes of subsequent generations. Based on my analysis and reading of several publications, it is very clear that previous generations have abdicated sustainability, and now we are at a tipping point where our generation needs to act fast before it's too late. When we approached our entrepreneurial venture Crescendo, we constantly ensured that we did not lose sight of the overarching vision for the business to be sustainable. By developing a platform that allowed for the resale, reuse, and repurposing of musical instruments, we established that we were not just any other e-commerce venture trying to sell products online, but instead had a deeper and more profound vision of sustainable commerce. Now let's look at Patagonia, a company that has infused sustainability into their business model. My experience with Patagonia first started when I bought a fleece jacket from their store. A few months later, I had an issue with the zipper of the jacket and intuitively expected them to send me a replacement. To my surprise, they actually sent me a repair guide, teaching me how to fix the jacket rather than just throwing it away and receiving a replacement. As I dug deeper, I realized that this was part of Patagonia's holistic vision to create garments that are less likely to end up in a landfill. Despite taking a stand against disposable fashion and not encouraging customers from buying more, Patagonia has remained a profitable business over the years and enjoys a very loyal customer base. In Patagonia's case, their vision for their business was to create a new blueprint for commerce, which probably meant questioning every step of the process and not doing things status quo. According to Bloomberg Intelligence, there's been a steady increase in sustainability-backed investments, projected to hit $50 trillion. This represents more than a third of the total assets under management of $140.5 trillion by the year 2025. Sustainability isn't just a fancy tagline anymore, but instead a key concept that is permeating throughout the business and entrepreneurial space. In addition to having a personal connection to the problem your business is trying to solve, as well as maintaining a sustainable outlook, the critical ingredient to developing an entrepreneurial venture is innovation. This can mean, at times, taking a road less traveled, or even paving your own path. When we were ideating on the timing of our rollout for Crescendo, our core team had a lot of debates. One school of thought was to develop this ground up with all of the features we wanted, including a mobile app, which would take much longer to launch. So instead, we ended up going with a more unconventional approach by developing a very basic prototype that enabled us to launch with lightning speed. While this prototype did not have all of the functionalities we had originally planned for, it allowed us to test the market response with very little upfront investment of time and money. A great industry pioneer is Tesla, a company that has used innovation in their pursuit of building a more sustainable world. Right from the electric car itself and its unique design, Tesla was the world's first car manufacturer to sell cars online. This was unheard of before they did it. So it's fascinating to see how within 10 years, something went from, this doesn't make any sense, to, why would you do it any other way? This change of tune, this is the innovation at the tip of the spear, which has catapulted Tesla to becoming one of the most valuable companies on the planet today. Now that we've established these three core tenets of New Age entrepreneurship, let's talk about how we can integrate these into day-to-day life, because not all of us are inclined to start a Tesla, Etsy, Patagonia, or Crescendo. I talked earlier about the importance of building a personal connection. It starts with looking within and doing a bit of soul searching to find your true calling. If you probe deeper, you'll find your true passion. Develop your skills in that area and use those skills to contribute to something beyond yourself. Next, all of us must get serious about sustainability, as it's a very real issue and the clock is ticking closer and closer to a point of no return. Sustainability isn't just for businesses and entrepreneurs. As individuals, we can blend sustainability into our daily lives by making balanced choices and avoiding the conspicuous consumption that is eating away at our planet today. Lastly, approach innovation as a mindset to improve the quality of your daily life. Innovation is the introduction of something new, so be open to change and embrace creativity. Regardless of your ultimate interests and passions, connectivity, sustainability, and innovation should drive our actions, especially as we each look to reimagine solutions to life's obstacles. Whether your next steps encompass creating an app like Crescendo or organizing a service opportunity, these three core pillars of New Age entrepreneurship mean that we can achieve these goals in ways that leave the world better off than when we first started. Etsy did it through a fresh approach to social commerce. Patagonia did it through an eco-friendlier apparel business. Tesla did it by accelerating the world's transition to smart energy with electric cars. I did it with Crescendo, allowing for the resale of used musical instruments. And you can do it too, one step at a time. Remember that what you choose to do today will always make a difference tomorrow. Thank you.